Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Marketer of the Day podcast. We are here with return guest Mark Podolsky, the Land Geek. We made a book about him. He's in our book, motdbook.com, and his website is thelandgeek.com. But Mark's new book is called Dirt Rich, which is the ultimate guide to helping you build a passive income. And he's the owner of Frontier Properties. And Mark knows how to work smart and not hard. And he has completed over 5,000 land deals with an average return on investment of over 300% on cash flips and over 1,000% on the deals he sells with financing terms. So we're going to hear all about what Mark has, whether you have that disposable income, you want to grow your nest egg, you are tired of working too hard in some of this real estate stuff maybe, and you want an easier and less competitive and more results-based way of going about things. Mark is your guy to talk to. So Mark, glad to catch up.
Robert Plank, thank you again for having me. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate you. And if you listen to Mark today and you like his energy, that old episode is at marketeroftheday.com/414. Wanted to plug that in because I had a lot of fun talking to you last time about raw land and some of these fun stories. So you always have some fun things going on. So since we last spoke, what have you been up to? What's been your focus, your passion, all that good stuff?
So right now I'm writing my second book on scaling a land business and really trying to focus on, eliminating all the pain points of the land business. So we have software that automates it on the front end. And then I developed this software called geekpay.io that actually automates getting paid on the back end, which could be used for a lot of people that they're maybe have a recurring subscription on a credit card, but ACH is so much less. So this does ACH, but if the ACH fails, it'll charge the credit card on file. So Robert, I'm really just enjoying being my geeky self and figuring out geeky ways to solve problems.
Well, great. And so what are those geeky ways? Because you mentioned in there like a land business, and some people might not know what that is or might need to get caught up. So when we talk about your strategy or like what this land business thing is, what does that mean exactly?
Okay, so let me walk you through the model. And hopefully I'm not repeating what I discussed on the first podcast. Is that okay?
Perfect. That's fine.
All right. So Robert, where do you live?
Central California.
Central California. I'm going to assume you own 20 acres of raw land in Arizona. And let's say that you owe $200 in back taxes. So I go to the county treasurer in this county in Arizona and I say, oh, there's Robert Plank, marker of the day. And he owes $200 in back taxes. And he lives in California. You're advertising two things to me. Number one, you have no emotional attachment to that raw land. You're in California, properties in Arizona. And number two, you're distressed financially in some way because when we don't value things in the same way, we don't pay for them. So you owe back taxes. And the county treasurer keeps sending you notices every month. If you don't pay your back taxes, you are going to lose that property to a tax deed or tax lien investor. So I'm going to look at the comparable sales on that 10-acre parcel for the last 12 to 18 months. And let's say it's the lowest one is $10,000. All I'm going to do is divide by 4. And that's going to get me what Warren Buffett would call a 300% margin of safety. So I'm going to send you an actual offer of $2,500 for your 10-acre parcel. Well, for you, $2,500 is better than nothing. So you accept. In reality, 3 to 5% of people accept my quote unquote top dollar offer. So before I give you a check for $2,500, I have to go through due diligence or in-depth research, confirm you still own the property, confirm the back taxes are only $200, make sure that there's no breaks in the chain of title, make sure there's no liens or encumbrances. I have this whole due diligence checklist. My team in the Philippines is connected to an American title company. They do all the work for me. They get the plat maps, the GIS maps, the aerial maps, creating this whole marketing package as I'm going through due diligence, and essentially costs about $11 to get all that done. So now everything checks out. I send you a check, you deed over the property, and now I'm going to sell this property 30 days or less and make it cash flow. So do you remember who the built-in best buyer is for this property?
from our last conversation, I think you talked
Yeah.
about like approaching the neighbor, right?
You remember the neighbors, the neighbors. So I'm going to send out neighbor letters. Here's your opportunity. Expand your holdings, protect your privacy, protect your views. And oftentimes the neighbors will buy it. Now, if they pass, I'll go to my buyers list. Then I might go to a little website called Craigslist, 10th most trafficked website in the United States. Smaller one, Facebook, buy sell groups, marketplace. And then I go to the lands, landmodo.com, landsamerica.com, landfarm.com. These are platforms. So essentially what I'm going to do is make it irresistible. So I'm going to ask for a $2,500 down payment and make it a car payment. Let's say $449 a month, 9% interest, next 84 months. So it's a one-time sale. I get my money out on the down, or maybe it might go out 6 months. And then I've got this passive income of $449 a month coming for the next 84 months, no renters, no rehabs, no renovations, no rodents. And then the game that we play is, can we create enough of these notes where our passive income exceeds our fixed expenses, and then we're working because we want to, not because we have to.
Well, you make it sound so easy, but if you think about it, it's a lot of like general marketing stuff, right? It's you're drilling down, you're finding your ideal client. You have all these specific criteria, like in that scenario you mentioned. You say, well, they own this property, they live here, the property's over there because there's the tax lien. You know it's distress, and then you have your formula for where to send the offer, and then it's just a matter of these people that they're stuck. They can't hang on to this property. They can't sell their property. They're going to lose their property. And then you have your list of buyers, and it's maybe not as conventional as having like an email list or a postal list, but still you have all these different layers where you say, here's the offer, here's the people that would want it, here's the client that I'm selling out. And so you have all these, like the due diligence list, right? And you have like the posting the Craigslist, you have your emails list. And I imagine that like this system kind of evolved over time, the way that you describe it. Like I imagine like maybe you bolted on these different pieces maybe as you refined it, or was it a big mess and it came together?
No, it definitely was an evolution, and you're so right. I mean, really, when you break down the business, we have like M&Ms on our desk because it reminds us that every day our whole business is mailing and marketing. But the mailing is technically marketing. So we're marketing for buyers, and we're marketing for sellers, and we're marketing for buyers. It's just a marketing model. But the channels and the platforms that we market on, they evolve through time. I mean, I remember back in the day, I was selling a lot on eBay. Well, eBay sucks now. So I might liquidate on eBay, but I don't even want to do that. And it's just evolved, and the platforms have evolved. But the basic concepts of the marketing has never changed. Can we come up with a good, interesting headlines? I like big lots and I cannot lie, right? 149 down, 149 a month, something irresistible. Then within the copy, we want to have in every, piece of our ad, some type of urgency, some type of scarcity. This is the only property like it because it's a piece of raw land. It's unique in that sense. And then we want to inject a clear call to action. If you want to build your wealth, impress your banker. If you want to have a place to bug out to, if you want a place to disconnect, go on your own private meditation retreat, create your own Burning Man. Here's 40 acres just for you, no restrictions, privacy, beautiful mountain views. So we're painting that marketing picture. And then of course we want in our pricing an anchor. So I always have an anchor in every ad. So we might have the price at, let's say it's, $20,000. We'll cross out 20,000. They can't unsee that. And then we'll say 17,900, again, $1,500 down. And let's just say 249 a month.
So nice. So it drops.
It drops. And because it's such an inefficient market, nobody really knows the value of the raw land. It's just hard to know, which is sometimes maddening for us when we're buying, but it's great when we're selling because it's truly what a buyer and a seller agree to. So we have to help them figure out within that context, what is the value, why they're getting a deal. We might show the comp the higher comp that we based our pricing off of, and use that as an anchor as well. Instant equity.
Nice. Well, I love some of these concepts that you're mentioning here, especially like with the copywriting thing, because for whatever reason, what's been on my mind these last few months is this whole concept of we all live like multiple lives, right? Like maybe we had a 9 to 5 during this block of years. Maybe we were working for someone else for this, or had an agency or freelancing or whatever. Like we all kind of go through these phases maybe every decade. We kind of change jobs in a way, and it might not ever end, right? Like you and me, when we're in our 80s, 90s, who knows what different transitions we'll have made. But along the process, like you pick up these skills and then you reuse them in other niches. So there might be people out there who maybe they made like WordPress websites, or maybe they worked at some kind of marketing agency, and then they go into real estate. But then those, for example, copywriting skills, the things like having the headline, having the call to action, having the price drop, these are all skills that don't go away, that get reused. And so I think there's some really important points that so some of these marketing skills kind of apply to everything. And then also we can't just throw out some of those foundational things just because the new fancy tools exist, right? Just because you can do some of this research online, outsource to the Philippines, social media, we're still dealing with people. We'll still need to use these kind of psychological or marketing techniques that always have worked and always will work.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing that keeps me up at night is I always think about that Jeff Bezos quote. If everything's going to change, what's not going to change? And fundamentally, I don't think what's going to change is people are always going to want a real asset, and they're always going to want a good deal. And as marketers, our job is to show them and paint that picture of why this is an attractive asset for them, and how it will fill some type of need for them, and why it's a good deal.
And that right there, I mean, that's also something that it took me a while to get into, that kind of like really focused like thinking and writing of even the way you describe that. You're like, here's this question, like why is it a good deal? Why is it a good deal for them? And just that right there helps solve so much of like the writer's block, whether you're like, writing an email or coming up with a sales letter. Like think about what questions they would be asking, or if you answered that, what question would that lead to? And then you just answer those, and then kind of remove the questions or not have the questions in there. And then in a way, it's really like conversational. So I'm hearing a lot of like kind of copywriting thinking in some of these things that you're talking about here. And so when it comes to these things like writing these ads or sending out these letters in the mail, things like that, do you like always have a template, or start with a template or a swipe file, or do you just like kind of start from scratch and wing it? Like kind of what's your process there as far as like writing these ads, writing these persuasive letters?
Right. So as far as the ad writing is concerned, well, my whole philosophy is I can always make more money, but I can't get more time. So I outsource it. I have actual ad writers, and we'll go on Fiverr.com and we'll test people out and we'll see. But generally speaking, within our training, we have these templates of ads that we know have worked. And so from there, can they just inject a little bit, something different here? Can we A/B test a headline? Maybe can we change, A/B test something within the ad, the call to action, or something about it. Maybe we're looking to attract people that want recreational land, and changing that. But essentially, we do have these templates that, because I've been doing this for so long, that we know work, and then we just have people take those templates, edit them a little bit, have my team review it, and then they make it ubiquitous, like let's put it everywhere kind of thing.
Awesome. Cool. Yeah. So it's like you kind of, you've been around the block, you know what works, and people can just kind of pick and choose like what kind of template, recreational land or whatever. And so like we said before, I had a lot of fun last time hearing about some of these different stories you mentioned, like the one where there was like some land and it was like super mountainous, and you panicked because you were like, this land's unusable, you can't build anything on it. And then the guy that bought it, like, he wanted to film a movie on it. So then it all worked out. And so since we've spoken, have there been any like fun, crazy stories like that where there was maybe like a roller coaster ride of like, you couldn't unload this, or it was going back and kind of like emotional swings and you had to really think outside the box in some way to make it happen?
Did I tell you the rattlesnake story?
I don't think so.
Okay, so the rattlesnake story is an interesting one because I had this 5 acre parcel in Colorado, and the guy calls me and he's like, I can't wait to buy this property. And I always ask, well, why are you buying? And he's like, well, did you know that there's rattlesnakes in the area? I'm like, no. He's like, yeah, there are. And I'm a rattlesnake hunter. He bought 5 acres just to hunt rattlesnakes. The next day, his buddy calls me and said, do you have the adjoining 5 acre parcel available? And I did. He's like, I want to go out there with my buddy and hunt rattlesnakes. So that was kind of an interesting one. But generally speaking, because of the way that I've got the business sort of, I work 2 hours a week in Frontier Properties. I'm not so much in the day to day now, so I don't hear a lot of the stories anymore. As you know, my team has them. I should ask them, like, do you guys have any good stories? I don't. I just kind of look at the numbers now. It's kind of sad.
But I mean, you've geeked it out, right? You're the land geek, so it's like you get the machine running, you push it off, you get it on autopilot, and then you can transition into what's more fun. And so, okay, so you mentioned that you're just down to 2 hours a week. You're not doing the day to day. I mean, what are you doing with that time? I mean, being on podcasts, but is there any like anything you're doing with like your free time, or building some other business, or working on this book? Like, if you're not doing the day to day, what are you doing?
Yeah. So day to day, Mondays and Fridays are what I call my terminal days. So I don't work. I don't have client meetings. I don't have team meetings. And really, I just pretend like this is the last day of my life. How do I want to spend that day? And ultimately, it's always about being with my wife, my kids, and meditating, hiking, biking. I got a Peloton. You know, doing something like that, and then reading. So doing these things that just very simple things that I like to do. And then at the end of the day, I think, well, was this a good enough day that if I died, I had a great day? So those are Mondays and Fridays. Um, Tuesdays are my podcast day because I have the Art of Passive Income podcasts, and I do those podcast interviews. Wednesdays are my team meeting days, and then Thursdays are any client meeting days, and then the rest of that time I do what any good CEO does. I think, I read, I look at growth opportunities. God forbid you get a call from me after I've had a cup of coffee because I'm breaking something in the business. I'm like, can we do this? Can we try this? And trying to geek out on different automations, different processes, different systems. What would happen if we, tested out this virtual assistant? Can we, do something else to market? So just the other day, we had a new guy actually in India, just to manage sort of Facebook and going on different groups and engaging in different groups and seeing, can we growth hack our way into selling some more properties?
Nice. Yeah. I mean, even my mind's thinking of all kinds of things that could lead to like have this VA network in the groups, and like get some prospects going, or find some people that are already kind of doing this process, but they're going about it the hard way and they need your system to do it. Or maybe like even like that little bit of a spiel we did at the beginning, maybe they're already in real estate, but they're doing, they're unclogging toilets. They're dealing with like stupid neighbors who are smoking inside, and maybe there's like they're almost there, but there's a better way. I mean, yeah, all kinds of new fun possibilities where, like you said, if you can find a way to remove yourself from the business, be the CEO, then we can tap into like what Warren Buffett always says: read all these books. Bill Gates would read 53 books in a weekend. Mark Zuckerberg. I mean, it can't be a coincidence, right? That all of these super smart, super successful business owners, they make sure to put aside tons of time, not for watching TV, not for reading emails, sitting in front of the screen, but reading, hiking, like unplugging the brain, so that way you have kind of those new like thinking outside of the box ideas. I love it. And so you mentioned that you have your book Dirt Rich, and then you also said that you're working on a new book. So can we unpack some of that and tell people like what these are all about and where we can get these and why we should get these?
Yeah. So Dirt Rich is how one ambitiously lazy geek created passive income in real estate without renters, renovations, and rehabs. And it really just walks in detail the entire business model. And hopefully after somebody reads this book, they can actually start buying and selling raw land. And that's really dirt rich. Now, and it talks about my story as well as how I became, and I was an investment banker and I was unhappy, started making a lot of money. Then I had Parkinson's law of money and I started spending a lot of money. And I thought this is my idea of success and not knowing like how much is enough. And it's a good story as well. And so that's Dirt Rich. The second one, I don't really have a title yet, but it really is for the people that have read Dirt Rich. And the last thing I want anybody to do in this business model is create another job for themselves. So how do you scale this? What softwares can you use to start automating the business? For example, when I first started, I would handwrite the letters for the offers. And then I hired an inexpensive virtual assistant in South Carolina to do it for me. And then I had software created that will now automate it. Same thing with the contracts. It used to take me 20 minutes to do our contracts for our clients. Now it takes 2 seconds. So again, I can always make more money, but I can't get more time. So I really want to solve two problems in life. One is the money problem. We all want to have enough money. But the second one, I think that's more important, is the time problem. If Monday is the same day as Saturday for you, for me, that's real wealth. If you don't have to be somewhere at a certain time and you can intentionally create your own day, that's real wealth to me.
I agree completely, yeah, and you're so right that it's easy to think I don't need a calendar, I don't need a schedule, I want to have freedom, and then what you have at that point is no freedom. Then like just whatever surprises happen in the day overtake you. But then if you are the one putting blocks off in your calendar, then you're the one in control. And I think that's it's a weird thing to wrap our heads around. Plus that concept you mentioned of not working too hard, not creating another job for yourself. And right there, what you've done is, it reminds me of like kind of the Tim Ferriss trajectory, right? He did like 4-hour work week, and then, okay, you have your productivity figured out. Now what? Well, a lot of business owners don't take care of their body. So then there's 4-hour body, but then as part of the body stuff, you have to eat right. So there's 4-hour chef. And I think I'm maybe like 4 books behind as far as the ones he's released, but I really like how it's just like, well, here's this problem that you took a few years to figure out. There's the book on it. But then now that problem is solved, what does that open up? In your case, the time management lifestyle stuff. So yeah, this is great. So Dirt Rich is on Amazon and all those sorts of places, I assume?
Absolutely. Amazon, and everywhere else. Fine books are sold
Right. Fine
for
and not
sure.
so fine, but yours is one of the fine ones. And so we have Dirt Rich on Amazon, which, I mean, let's face it, that's just the place where there is now. And then thelandgeek.com. And what will people find at the Land Geek? And are there any like specific things to for people to pay attention to when they go to that site, or any other URLs? Like basically, now that people have heard about your story, heard about all these kind of different ideas, and maybe had some ahas, and they want to go and get the juicy good stuff from Mr. Mark Podolsky. They want to go to a website, get some stuff. Where should they go? What should they do?
Okay, so we've got 2 courses, and the first one is the $97 passive income launch kit. I'd love to offer that to your listeners for free. If they just go to thelandgeek.com/launch kit, they can get it for free. And that way they can see if this business model resonates for them or not. Again, the whole idea is to get out of solo-economic dependency, which means if you're not working, you're not making any money, and build this passive income machine, and let us show you how to do it step by step. The other one is if you don't have a lot of capital, and I started with $3,000, but some people don't even have that, It's how can I double my money 30 days or less? And so I just created a new, really simple course. What's the simplest way to double your money? And it's just a landgeek.com/quick deals. And that's a free course as well. So I think those are the two best places to go get the good stuff.
All right. Yeah, get the stuff that not everyone has, but because you're listening to the show right now, you're part of the exclusive velvet rope line out the door club, but you cut in line, you went to the VIP section, and you go to thelandgeek.com/launch kit to get that normally $97 course given away. So that way you can get some ideas going. And then I love that this other one, thelandgeek.com/quick deals, to figure out how to double your money. So that way you can stop being a learner and start being an action taker. Just start small. And I love some of these scenarios that you laid out here, Mark, of you take a little bit of money and get the cash flow coming in, and then save that and get another stream coming in. And I mean, I can only imagine what you've built up your raw land business to when you say, like, you find this property, you send this offer, you finance it, you go to the next thing. I mean, it seems like this is the kind of thing where it just builds and builds. Plus, you have your recipe, your secret sauce. So then you just have the overseas employees in the Philippines and India just doing the actual legwork for you. I mean, this is a dream right here.
No, it's great. It really is. And look, I'm flexible like a yogi. So if you can find something better than this, I'm open to it. But I love that this model, I've got no physical inventory. It scales. There's no big money in it. There's no private equity groups. There's no hedge funds. It's got a massive market. It's unloved. You won't go on HGTV or the DIY network and see Flip This Land. It's just me in front of my computer, right? The before pictures raw land. The after pictures raw land. So I really love it. And I do think it is the best passive income model.
Yeah, and like we talked about, it's less competitive than the normal real estate stuff, and even as you're explaining it too, it's less, or it's more stable than, say, online business or making software where things change so much. I mean, land's always going to be there. All this tax records and government stuff. We know how slowly governments move, so it's like this is like a hard as rock solid. Just as far as like, will the rules change slightly? Maybe, but this is like. The land will always be there. The raw land especially will always be there. People will always need the place to hunt rattlesnakes, to shoot their movie, to have the 40 acres to themselves in case the apocalypse happens. So yeah, this is all some really fantastic stuff to think about. You've given us some great plans, and we'll see everyone over at thelandgeek.com/quick deals. And before we wrap things up, shut down here, Mark, do you have any parting words of wisdom for us? Something to kind of leave us with that maybe we'll think back to for years and years to come? Anything come to mind? A couple sentences or two?
You know, I don't know if I did this on the first podcast, but I love that Zig Ziglar quote. If you'll do for the next 3 to 5 years what other people won't do, you'll be able to do for the rest of your life what other people can't do.
Fantastic. We'll leave it at that.
There you go.
All right. So the recording's done, and this will be out early April or so. So maybe the new book will be out by then.
Well, no, I'm like one chapter in. It's gonna be like a year.
Okay.
I hate it. I hate it, Robert. Are you right? Are you writing any more books?
Right now, I'm working on that. I'm putting together that new compilation thing I mailed to. So that's kind of the current source of my stress. But I want to make a podcasting book because there's just like so much like fun stuff there as far as like getting out of your shell, getting your own show, having people come to you, then being on their shows. Like there's so much fun of like making about the journey and not just geeking out on the equipment. So that's kind of what's percolating for me.
Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be great.
Yeah.
I think that's a needed book for sure.
And it's like, I finally got over making it too niche. Like, I mean, I think I put out like 10, 11 books over the years, like the last decade. And they're always just like stuff that like my lists or my customers would want to know about. So I made all these things assuming people knew, like WordPress, opt-in pages. But then I put out this book last year called WWHW, and I made it just like so like just beginner, But if you don't know me, if you don't know books, podcasting, like I think I finally gotten that headspace, and probably just from having all the podcast guests, right? Of making like the information accessible. Know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, we assume that everybody knows what we know, but they don't.
Yeah. And then we have the fear of looking stupid, so we'll like throw out all this jargon, and it's like, yeah, but you're just confusing them even more.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Exactly. For sure. So very cool.